G'day guys and welcome to the Centre Bounce, where today we'll be talking about the pre-season game between the Swans and the Lions. Stay tuned. This was a really good game. It was obviously very much delayed, Big J. There was a lot of crazy weather. There was a snake. There was a power outage. There was freaking everything you could possibly think of that can get in the way to delay this game by, I think, 2.5 hours. This game was delayed. And the game we got was a very fierce contest nonetheless. What do you think about it, Big J?
Mate, it's an interesting one. Whenever you play like two teams, obviously we're very, very lucky that the first kind of 4 or so games are teams that play round zero, because sometimes you just can't gauge what's going to happen, right? You don't know what's happening. Maybe some players do well, some players don't do well. But as you say, these games just take so long. And I think the fans and the players themselves were just glad that the game was over. It was really contested. It did seem like maybe the ball was down one end and then went down the other end. And as you see from some of the scoring from today, the ruckman didn't really do much. And it wasn't a great game for our Grundy lovers, who we've been basically promoting for the entire season. It's going to be interesting to see like what happens with his ownership percentage after this game. Because, mate, he didn't exactly score that well. And I can't wait for the Facebook comments. Hey, got off Grundy. He's no good. Don't pick him. I'm like, what can you do?
Nah, I'm very much not in favor of that. It's one thing to just look at the score, but you also got to look at the team makeup as well. And this is still a preseason practice game. It's not an official hitout in terms of what we're going to see in round 0. Because when we look at what the Swans lined up with, I mean, I guess we can sort of start to, I suppose, present the screen. But when you look at the players that Sydney brought to this game and who Brisbane brought to the game, you'll notice that Sydney were playing 5 talls. They had 3 key forwards and 2 rucks. And I don't think that's how they're going to line up in the season proper. I think they were way too tall, and they were giving a lot of ruck time to both Peanut, Laddams, as well as McDonald. Like, they were rotating a bunch of players through the ruck. It wasn't just Grundy. So Grundy actually won. In terms of the ruck contest between him and the Big O, Oscar McInerney, he actually won the hit-out. I think 5-1 in terms of the hit-outs to advantage. So I still like what I saw from Grundy. He only had the 60% time on ground. I think they really just were working him through this game, not get him injured, just get him prepared for round 0. I'm still firmly on the Brodie Grundy at R2. The value that he presents is just off the charts. So, yeah, it wasn't a very good night for ruckman in general, but I still think Grundy is on everyone's radar and he should still be on everyone's team, I think.
Yeah, like as you say, right, if he ended up getting, let's say he started with 60% game time, if he went up to 80 or 90 where you'd think he would be, he's not exactly injured, we haven't heard anything in the preseason that stuff happens. Hey, there we go, his scoring's going to go up. And as you say, 70% CBAs when he played. So, yeah, it's a bit of a crazy one. Just kind of his scoring and his output, but the Facebook reactions from this game, and just kind of the general overall stuff. We look at their CBA mix. Joe, Heeney is getting CBAs. I'm not a fan because we always get sucked into it every single year. Heeney CBAs. But if it's happening, I know they've been prophesizing, hey, it's happening all preseason. He didn't do terribly today. And this scored a 70, but is getting the CBAs what you kind of want?
This is classic Heeney, where as you say, they always say this guy's going to get midfield minutes, increase midfield minutes, every year. We always hear it, but this guy's just too good close to home in front of the big sticks in order for it to warrant it. And we thought, especially, that this dream is over when you look at who they've recruited. And Taylor Adams, one of those recruits, unfortunately, going down with a knee problem. So who knows just the ramifications of that and whether or not this now really could pave the way for more on-the-ball minutes for Heeney. I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think that midfield minutes some of it's going to go to this dude, who was freaking unbelievable because he only had 25% CBA, 25 of the CBA. So he can get a lot more. I think Sheldrick could potentially get a lot more. He looked really good today, Angus Sheldrick. Loved his game. He was awesome. Could see a bump up to Goulden. Goulden, again, looked really good around the ball. There was a few players out of this Sydney side, in particular in the back line, like Dane Rampy, for example, and Lloyd, both of which would probably be eating into Matt Roberts, who I don't think, he had a wonderful day today, but I'm personally can't see him ahead of both of those guys. Lloyd and Rampy is just going to slot right back in, and unfortunately Roberts will come back out. So,
sometimes it's like that, right? I know these preseason games, players are getting rested. We've seen it in the other ones this week, and I'm sure there'll be a few Dogs players and some other ones during the week as well that are going to be like that. I guess kind of we'll start off with the Swans just in general. Errol Goulden goes bang again, and very, very rarely do we ever get a DT to Supercoach ratio the same. But 9 tackles, Joe. Like, I think that's an element of his game that we haven't really seen a lot of, but from memory. And then, like, I think that's almost the most on the ground. So, yeah, maybe we're going to see kind of gun Errol Goulden getting some points from somewhere that's not just, running up and down the ground and kicking goals.
Yeah, no, Errol Goulden's a star. He is. He had such an amazing game today. The conditions weren't favorable. It was raining. It was muggy, humid, and that's definitely gives the Brisbane Lions an advantage coming into this game. We didn't even talk about the score right off the top. Brisbane won. Yeah, Brisbane, as you can see, they beat the Swans, but the conditions definitely favoured Brisbane, who are used to this environment a lot more than the Sydney Swans are, and the Brisbane Lions are very impressive. But Errol Goulden, my word, this guy was probably the best midfielder on the field. I know Hugh McCluggage got the ball a lot, but he was just leading up a lot of times on the wing and simply receiving some ball and getting some really uncontested marks. I just felt like Goulden was by far and away, I think, the best midfielder on the night. He was sensational. That early buy sucks. It really does. He's one, I think, that should feature. If he continues, obviously, to score this way, then he's absolutely going to be a top 8 midfielder. After his buy, see if we can try and get him in.
Well, yeah, definitely. Looking at James Jordan, obviously, rookie, not rookie price, but cheap mid-pricer price in the forward line. I think he's definitely cemented himself in my team. I'm not sure about it is for you, but round 0 can't get closer, and one to lock in there. Row bottom, probably not a Supercoach selection, but Matt Roberts, did he play that halfback role that we were looking for?
He did, but he's not going to keep it though. That's the thing. Like they rested Lloyd. They didn't have Lloyd out there. They didn't have Rampy in there. Both of those guys are going to slot right back into the team. So for me, Matt Roberts had a good game, very solid game. Well done to him, but he's not going to play in round 1 or round 0 for that matter, unless there is an injury to Lloyd or an injury to whoever I just said. I forgot his name. Rampy. Thank you. Freaking. It's not gonna happen. But James Jordan is in my team, absolutely. If you can do this on a wing, then that's sensational.
12 contested possessions, man. Moving down the list, I guess, is there anyone else Supercoach relevant? We've talked about Grundy a little bit. Peter Laddams, potentially he gets a spot in someone's team. I know after these stats, they're going to be like, hey, get in my side. Outside of those two, is there anyone else that we've been looking at that kind of got confirmation or didn't get confirmation of?
Well, yeah, I mean, these guys were the main culprits, I suppose, that we were looking at for the Sydney Swans. They do have that early buy, which makes it a little bit unpalatable, I suppose, a little bit. Angus Sheldrick did do some nice things, but didn't do enough with it. He was a little bit wasteful with the ball in hand, and we can sort of tell that he only went at 43% disposal efficiency. So Sheldrick, look, there's potential upside to him in terms of the amount of CBAs that he's going to get with Taylor Adams out of the picture, but if he continues to use the ball poorly, then that increased CBA isn't really going to be of much benefit. So yeah, I'll put a line through Sheldrick, unfortunately, for this game. But then again, it was tough conditions. So those were all the players, I think, from the Swans that were of relevance. I suppose we can then move across to the Brisbane Lions, and Hugh McCluggage just, he had the ball on a string, really. Just continued to find his way. I mean, 9 marks. I mean, he just continued to present, work his ass off up and down the ground. He did play on the ball. If we look here at the Brisbane CBAs, he had just shy of 50% in terms of the attendance, which was really impressive. But obviously, his traits were really on show on the outside today. Racking the ball at will.
Player.
He's a very good player. He sucks in front of the big sticks, though. He can't kick a set shot to save his life. As we spoke about with DR, that's probably the one area of his game that he really needs to clean up. Because if he can do that, then he's going to be in the top echelon of midfielders. And I love it. He's in a contract year, and he's going to play his best to make sure that Brisbane pay him the big, big bucks.
Now, is there a reason why Dane Zorko's on 133 Supercoach? I thought this guy was washed up and he was never going to play again. Like, what's happened?
It was the cleanliness of this disposal. That's what it was. It was 20 disposals, 7 marks, a couple of goals, but it was just how clean he was with the football. You can see this guy, he's played his whole life at Brisbane. He's used to the conditions, and he played them to perfection. He was harassed. He was very clean at ground level. As you can see, he had not a single clanger. Not a single clanger to his name. That is very rare. Obviously unsustainable, very unlikely for someone to do that. Plus, he has extensive soft tissue injury. I am not touch Dane Zorko.
People are jumping on Dane Zorko. They're going to pick him. They're going to be like Dane Zorko season.
Don't do it. Do not do it.
If we pull up the CBAs, we pull up the CBAs from the game with Brisbane, we can totally see kind of what they're doing with the midfield. Dunkley 75%, Neil 70%, so definitely first rotation alongside McInerney. McCluggage in there with 41, but after that, there's a couple of players who potentially have some value. We got Rayner in there 37%. So people are talking about, hey, what's going to happen with Rayner and his midfield time? Jared Lyons as well, Joe. Get in my team. 250 Ks, 33% as well. Obviously didn't score that well in Supercoach, but boy, you can dream. Did any of those players kind of scream, hey, we're not so bad, or kind of just get away from him?
I didn't like Lyons' game at all. This guy, I don't like to use this word very often because it is very harsh, but he's pretty close to washed. I'm not going anywhere near Lyons as a selection. Yeah, no, he's no good. I didn't like him. I definitely prefer Cam Rayner's game. Cam Rayner's game was definitely a lot better. And he's a younger man. He's a younger boy. He's not a boy anymore. Sorry, he's a man. And he's playing like one. You can see he's playing with a lot of confidence, a lot of assertiveness to his game, which is really good. Stepping through tackles. His ball use has been okay. Has definitely been improved. I mean, he went at just under 70% efficiency today, but he had the 4 clangers, so he definitely could have done better with this game. And because he's strong, he's really capable of winning some free kicks, which I noticed. Brisbane were just really strong in the stoppage today in this game, and because they were so good and dominant coming out of the midfield due to their contested ball winners, Sydney had to play an extra around the ball, which meant that Brisbane were always playing with an extra person loose in the back line, and they were just able to repel the forward entries really well. And so that Brisbane, they looked so dangerous. And when you got people like Kitty Coleman, who again was super clinical in shit conditions, he was really impressive today as well. So 10 marks. He just gets these free marks from from working hard, going into open space, and they'll pass the ball to him. They'll hit him up because they know he's so good with the footy. He only went at 63% today with 5 clangers, but this was a contested game. It wasn't an easy one. Sydney definitely came to play and tried to win, and like I said, the conditions were shit. which obviously makes it harder for clinical ball use. And Kitty Coleman normally is really good. So there's definitely an upside to this scoring. Far out, man. I'm watching him today. I'm thinking, crap, this guy could be really good for under 400,000. Bloody hell.
And he kicked a goal too. Um,
A
we've
good
spoken
goal.
we've spoken a little bit about kind of the premiums and the guys there who are getting CBAs that we were talking about, and guys that we flagged in the preseason. Are there any rookies on this list that, hey, we really have to start thinking about potentially going in our team? I can see someone there who scored 99 points and a couple of others who didn't look too bad.
Yeah, Kyle Lohmann, yeah, very good. 150K rookie in our forward lines. This guy, DR, in our Brisbane video, he flagged this guy and he said he can't wait to see him play this year. And play well he did. This guy was really good. Good pace, good tackling pressure as well. He didn't kick any goals. Didn't kick any goals to go with it to supplement his 99. So it's not like he got to 99 having kicked a bag of goals, which obviously is less replicable and less sustainable. He did it. He got his points the hard way, nothing easy, and that to me screams that yep, he's got the talent and the work rate, which means that he does have a good floor with the possibility of some spike games. If he was to hit the scoreboard, he could have some spike games, which means that his money goes up even quicker. So definitely liked Kyle Lohmann. If you feel like I wouldn't have him on the field though, definitely I would prefer to have him on the bench. But if you feel like you're tossing and turning between a Cadman, for example, and this guy, it's not too dissimilar. $23,000, the difference between those two players.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's only got, 16 touches and a few tackles, and he's already on 100 points. So if he plays a full game, like he's only on 76% game time, that's like 3/4. So if he plays a proper full game, gets himself to 80-odd%, obviously it's not going to have the same stats potentially, but there's some decent scoring there as a rookie option. Moving down the list, like James Tunstall, I know a few people had kind of flagged, but maybe didn't do that well for them today.
Look, he did some nice things, don't get me wrong, especially for the price, but he plays for Brisbane, and Brisbane is the early buy, and it's not necessarily great for rookies. The Brisbane rookies can be really handy because they'll play 2 games, have a bye, and it'll give you extra time for you to trade them in before they burst their bubble. So for me, I just don't see any reason why you would start these Brisbane rookies. If there's someone worth actually trading into your team, then you can just do it after their bye.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess before we wrap up this kind of run, Joe, for today's preseason game, biggest takeaways from this? Are Brisbane going to go massive and Sydney kind of stink, or just kind of conditions, or what can we leave the fans with today?
No, the Sydney Swans were good. Definitely, I spoke very glowingly about Brisbane, and rightfully so. Their system, well-oiled machine. They know exactly what they're doing. They are very potent when they go forward. So many different options that can hit the scoreboard, and you'll notice that Charlie Cameron did not kick any goals this game, and neither did Joe Danaher. So it's scary. This forward line is honestly scary. I was talking about it last year that it is the best forward line in the comp, and it's actually crazy. It's gotten better. Yeah. So Brisbane Lions, I can understand DR's confidence and belief when he says they can go one better this year. They really can. Honestly, they're incredible. Sydney Swans were really good. There was a few times where they couldn't. Their entries inside 50 were not as penetrating as Brisbane's entries inside 50. They struggled to move the ball forward. But I'd also make a note again that they were missing some really important players that would normally be in their best 22 without a shadow of a doubt. And they do like to springboard the ball forward using from the back half. And they had a couple of important players from their back half not playing. So still very bullish about the Swans. I think they are going to almost definitely feature in finals, I think, this year. If their team last year made finals, this year it's even better. So Sydney Swans fans, be really excited. You got a good team this year. But if you're a Brisbane Lion fan, make sure you've got that last weekend of September wide open, because you could be at you could find yourself at the MCG in that last week of September.
Mate, Joe's got it made, especially with the Gabba being such a big powerhouse too.
Our deep dive of the practice game between the Brisbane Lions and the Sydney Swans. It was a great hit out, but the Lions got the dub. If you like what you saw from us today, yes, it is late in the piece, but hey, we had 2 games to watch, as well as recording another incredible video with Jesse of True Footy. What did I say? True Footy. What the hell is Footy? To talk about the West Coast Eagles. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on that video either.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Remember, we've got our Supercoach League. There's still a couple of weeks of Supercoach left. You guys can join with that. 3 amazing prizes to win, and stuff you can win just from, just competing for the whole year as well. And don't forget, we've got our Supercoach tipping competition. It's going to be down in the link below.
100%, guys. Get involved. The results and the weekly updates of the tipping competition will be discussed in our Monday night live streams, which take place every Monday at 7:30. So make sure that you're subscribed to make sure that you come and join us, not only in the comps, but also for some banter.
100%. Remember, we're going through all the games, all the stats, all the CBAs, all the fun stuff. Stay tuned for the other episodes, guys. Because remember, here at Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you guys don't have to.